Park. You must visit, at least students, all the students must visit it. To start the program, I request the coordinator, the R&D, to felicitate the guests. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I thank you, the dignitaries, to accept our token of love. Thank you, sir. Now I request our director to address. Good morning, my dear students.
Good morning, sir.
Distinguished speaker, Professor Ilyas, and noted innovator, Dr. Murali, and my colleagues and other faculty members present over here. I do not believe in this kind of things, that there is some innovations, all these things. I want the action. So today I am very fortunate and humble that Professor Ilyas, Dr. Murali, both are present here. They are the pioneer in entrepreneurship promotion in this country. Only few things I like to note for the honorable speakers present over here, that perhaps in this country we have given too much importance to the educations that is only for jobs. That's why even in all universities, all engineering institutes, we have a training and placement cell. But hardly there are few institutes where there is an innovation center, entrepreneurship cell. That is how our education has become not deliverable. It has become just a get a certificate, get a job, earn some money, and that's it. And that is how we are different from Japan, from China. Today, China and Japan, they are ahead of us because of nothing, not their brain power, not their something the education systems, but because of their zeal for innovations and entrepreneurship. I do not mind the students passing out from a big institute, reputed institute, get a job, earn money. That's fine. But there is no wrong at the same time to do something for the country. The country has given you many things. What is that something? Do some innovations, do some entrepreneurship. Because this country, this fellow citizen expect many things from you. If you do not do, then who will do? That is the good questions we are actually avoiding, ignoring in all education systems. And that is how when I take up the job of this directorship of this institute, I introduced with so many hurdles from so many quarters that entrepreneurship should be a course, compulsory course in all UG and PG program. And that is how I approached to NIRT Hyderabad. That time Professor Ilyas was there at the head of the Department of Entrepreneurship, sale of the institute, and I wanted to run a course exclusively for entrepreneurship promotions. Unfortunately, in the name of entrepreneurship promotions, Professor Ilyas may excuse me, Dr. Murali may excuse also me, that we are doing only training. That is also what I call the academic entrepreneurship we are doing. Practical entrepreneurship we are learning. My humble submissions to the students will be, you think of doing real entrepreneurship, not this academic entrepreneurship. Take money from the bank And that was what the scheme I had with Professor Ilyas, that NIRT should arrange some soft loan for you. You start your business. Business not a bad thing. Business is a very good thing. Business is what the country expects from you. Entrepreneurship and innovations are things that are lacking in this country. Therefore, I wanted the entrepreneurship promotions, real promotions, will be one of the basic motto of this institute. With that motive in mind, I am very pleased that today you are present over here and two distinguished speakers are there, and their deliberations with you will yield some deliverable result towards entrepreneurship and innovations. I wish this workshop or whatever they are calling entrepreneurship, inculcating or seminar or teaching, whatever may be that will give you fruitful results to my students only. Thank you very much. Once again, thank Professor Ilyas and Dr. Murali to come over here to give some time to my students, and I request them to come over again and again to give some time to my students, for which any kind of support I am ready to give, so long I am here. Thank you very much. So I request Professor Kashyap not to spend time.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Exactly. Exactly.
Good morning to all of you, distinguished speakers, my colleagues, members of faculty present over here. Due to a verbal directive by our Honorable Minister MHRD Srimati Sriti Jubilee Irani, the day I met her for the first time, she told me, you conduct a seminar or workshop, whatever it may be, on higher technical educations for Northeastern region. Accordingly, I invited a few distinguished speakers from all over country and all directors and vice chancellors of the Central Universities and Institute of Northeastern region to come over here and to deliver on the issue. I personally do not believe to do this seminar, conference, workshop in a formal way, inauguration, lighting of lamp and this and that. That's why I wanted to have a small group of discussions on this emergent issue of technical education in higher technical education in Northeastern region. Many speakers accepted our invitations. Some of the speakers at the last moment could not arrive here because of some problems. So even then, we have three distinguished speakers with us. Professor Dilip Sinha, who is a noted mathematician and former Vice Chancellor of Vishwabharati University. He is our Senate member also. So we are very privileged and proud of his presence over here. We are basically here, particularly the NIT faculty members, myself, to listen to them and to chart our program accordingly, so that we can deliver something for the Northeastern region being associated with NIT. We have with us Professor D. Soikia. Many times we have met in many meetings. We are long associated with each other. He is basically a professor, distinguished professor at Tezpur University, but he is now the director of NIT Meghalaya. Then we have with us Professor P. Mohanto. I was mixing Mohanty or Mohanto, but I have been corrected. It is Mohanto, Professor P. Mohanto. Many years in the country, but to my understanding, it is not deliverable as it is in the other developed countries. And where are the issues we can address in the change scenario? There are two change scenarios as of now. One is LPG, which started in this country in 1990s onwards, that is liberalization, privatization, globalization. Another change scenario which has started in 2014 with the slogan of MISI DC. So that I will elaborate on how we need to change the technical educations. I will talk about the innovations or the changes that we need to have to make our technical educations really deliverable result-oriented for the country. And the innovations are having different definitions, but to me, innovations are within these three definitions I have given there. Is do the things newly, not new things. That is sometimes in other languages we speak that do the things, do the right things, not do the right things, but do the things rightly, and that should be done in a way which will be deliverable. And that is how we have given the three definitions of these innovations to my mind, which will be befitting for a technical higher educations like National Institute of Technology. This technical higher education, I always call it in next slide please, THE. THE. So I like to address on the T, then I will address on the H, then I will address on the E, and then I will address why this D is failing in our country in general. Now, the D, technical. Now, this has becomes more relevant as I was talking of. In 1990, India adopted this liberalizations, privatizations, globalizations. And if I have correctly understood, the success for the liberalizations, privatizations and globalizations depends on how you make your technical educations deliver. I was going through a write-up, rather not write, it is a write-up or story written by Dr. Abdul Salam, the Nobel laureate who actually established the International Center for Theoretical Physics, Italy. In his write-up, he told his PhD thesis for the development is this, within quote, the difference between developing and developed is nothing but science and technology, unquote. Therefore, for the liberalizations, privatizations, globalizations to be meaningful, to be actually fruitful for any country, particularly developing country, we have to understand one thing. The science and technology must be made operative, not just in books and in a certificate. And that is what is perhaps, if I have correctly understood, our present government has given a vision in MISCBT, Making India, Skill India, Digital India, Clean India. See, all the issues involving this MISCBT require technology, require scientific temper. So, how to do that? How to change our technical educations? How to reframe our thoughts process for the technical educations? How to change particularly teaching? How to change the research? How to change the syllabus? That requires, if we want to have the MISCBT successful, which has practically an effective way of making us relevant in the LPG scenario, liberalizations, privatizations, globalization scenario. Now coming to that discussion, I will start with the type of educations I have got. The type of educations till now you are giving, the type of educations in which our future generation is tuned. That type of educations, if you correctly analyze in technical higher educations, it is this. Our technical educations is too much tuned towards producing academic professionalists rather than technical professionalists. If I correctly explain these situations, I shall take up a simple facts and figures. If you tell any BTech, MTech, first boy, stopper of the class to do a mathematics, he will be happy to do that. If you tell him to design a adder circuit, simple adder circuit, not the way you do your laboratory class, he will run away. That I have seen. That I have seen. This is true for teachers. This is true for students, this is true for me, this is true for all of us in technical higher education. These mindsets, this way of culture of higher education and teaching requires some kind of change. We need to produce technical engineers. See the scenario of Japan. Once Professor Bina, must be knowing, distinguished professor and engineer, he visited Japan. Unfortunately, he was my BTech project, MTech project guide. So after returning from the Japan, he delivered talk. He told in that deliberations, class 8 Japan students, they are fabricating as in their course curriculum the PCB circuits. They are doing circuits in PCB. Think of that, educations. But whereas we are just doing mathematics in the higher technical educations. That is the difference. That is how the China and Japan are ahead of us. I would like to say here, what is the success theory? Success theory is simple. Success theory is simple. Education first. To me, of course, I may be wrong. Education is first for any nations. That is how the development is there in the developed country. That is how the Professor Abdul Salam was talking of that big thing, his PhD thesis. Education is first for any country. Economy next. Economy is most important for the country, not beside. Therefore, education must be made deliverable. Education must be made result oriented. And that is where we are very much lagging. That is where the teachers are not changing. That is where we are not changing. That is where students are tuned. That is where the parents are failing to very well. So, to do that, we have to make a balance of education between why and how. And that is why I always say this NERIST is the example. NERIST is the only example of making us technical educations. I want to say here a few things about NERIST. I was deeply involved with the NERIST project. And I did many research on NERIST project. And if you see my first book, Changes for Technical Education, there most of the technical education concept I have given from the NERIST culture, NERIST concept itself. One fine night, the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi called the very famous IIT director, Professor Bhattacharya from the IIT Kanpur, and asked him a simple questions. This Prime Minister, the Prime Minister asked me a simple question. The director said, we are spending so much money in technical education. Even then, why you could not produce a single JC Bose? That was his questions to the Professor Bhattacharya, who was the then director of IIT Kanpur. Then Prime Minister asked him, you designed a technical education system which will produce JC lots of JC. Then if you go through the genesis of this NERIST, there this Professor Bhattacharya wrote, MB Bhattacharya? Yes, Bhattacharya wrote, yes, we failed in the technical education because we are making so much academic engineers rather than technical engineers. At the same time, the concept was how to reduce the cost of the technical education. And that gives the birth of, that with the foundations of NERIST. So he devised this concept of NERIST on 3-tier basis: base, diploma and degree. And I believe that is the education systems where an engineer after passing out 6 years course will get balanced engineers having optimality between why and how educations. See, today engineer who is actually being we are producing, is not having the knowledge of base. What is the knowledge of base? How to use a screwdriver, how to open a screw. This kind of educations is given in base model. That is basically base to some part of the diploma. You are getting actually how educations. That is the basis of the making you the real technical engineers. Then after that you are coming into the why. So once this balance of why how is done, then you are really become a full-fledged technical and academic engineer, otherwise not. Therefore, I personally feel if we change our mindset, if we change our closeness, if we open ourselves, I will be happy if all IITs are make the education systems of 2 plus 2 plus 2 as first was conceived in the NERIST project. And if it is fruitfully done, I am sure that will be fruitfully done, fruitfully implemented, then I think some of the lacuna or major lacuna that we are having, that we can sort it out. Another concept I gave in my books also, in different platforms I talk about that, the cost-effective technical education. We are a poor country. We have a bad legacy. Frankly speaking, or I should say loudly and forcefully, that we have a very bad legacy. What is the legacy in technical higher educations? We always try to copy from others' country. We think if we copy the systems operating in Harvard University, we will be Harvard. If we system copy from the Oxford University, we will be Oxford. It is never possible. We have to think of technical educations which will give fruitful results, befitting the system that the country needs. We are a poor country. We cannot afford the way they can afford. We have a systems of society where there is a huge gap between haves and haves not. So you cannot make your technical educations where tuition fee will be 5 lakhs a month, 5 lakhs a year, and you expect the genius from the villages will come up. Never come. So we have to think of that. So we need a technical educations which will be cost effective, which will be self-sustainable. So cost effective systems, I believe NERIST is a cost effective system. Why? It is 3 institutes in 1. NERIST, always I see, it is a 3 institutes in 1. It is called, how it is called 3 institutes in 1? If you say base module, we are having colleges called, so what colleges are there, for teaching this base module? There is a diploma, we have another several colleges. Then the name IITs, ITI, then Polytechnic, then engineering colleges. See, 3 systems. But in a NERIST, all these 3 in 1 system. It is a cost-effective system. Similarly, now coming to this cost-effectiveness and need of technical educations to generate technical engineers, practical engineers, we have to think of some other mindset. See, in many deliberations, Professor Shaikia was with me. We are talking of, in President's Conference, many conferences, Industry Institute interactions. What for that? That has a aim, I believe, to make our students industrially favored. But see, in the name of that, what we are doing, we are opening a chair in the name of industry. Industry giving some money, we are opening a chair. Industry giving some money, we are doing a laboratory. What is that? This is the truthful interactions of the institute and industry. That's why in a research paper published widely, I gave the concept of institute cum industry. Those who have read these papers must be knowing, but I will elaborate for those who have not read. Institute of Industry, my idea was that Say I am opening a chemical engineering department here. So let there be industry, chemical industry in my institute. Soap factory, small factory. And my students will be the worker here, and that will be the practice course. And the revenue generated from that industry, institute industry, that will actually support the poor genius from the villages to study their course fee is very high. So this equals to nothing. I always say this equals nothing. This equals a change of mindset to accept this new innovative ideas. You have much more bigger innovative ideas. Only problem is that our mindset. If you talk about all these things, so many oppositions, particularly from so-called distinguished experts. No, how industry will be there in the institute? Show us. I say show us. Because that is their mindset. It shows. The institute means a small laboratory. Institute means some kind of publish or Paris. Like that. So, real technical educations, fruitfulness, deliverable, I always believe your boldness to accept that.